So these are the old water connections that fitted on the turbo. Just missing one of the bolts there, Banjo bolts. And these aren't, I was trying to get them to work for the new setup, seeing if I could bend them. But this, well, it was overkill with that pipe. It's like 10 mil stainless, and it is just absolute pig to bend. You can see it's not smooth, or it's just wherever I could bend it originally to fit it on. So that's going to be changed. So that's no good to me. And this is just a Banjo with an elongated leg on it. Now in the orientation that it's in is also no good. So what I'm going to see if I can do is bend this at a sort of usable angle to see if I can make it work. If not, I'm going to need to get new bits. So let's I'll take it up to the turbo and I will show you what I'm hoping to achieve. So essentially, the water outlet there, if I screw this one in, as you can see, it's no good there. Straight into the engine, tiny little bit of movement. But if I can kink it at a 90 degree, then I might be able to use it. So I'm going to try to do that, but we'll see. The goal is, there's an outlet port on the water housing. Now this just used to go back to the expansion tank. It's like an overflow from the engine, just flow back through. So in the old setup, what it'd do is it'd come out of there and then into the turbo. Now, what I did is I had one turbo pipe going up into the turbo, and then the second one would come up out of the turbo. So one from the bottom, one from the top, and essentially what that allowed was for the heat of the water or the coolant to continue passing through the turbo even after I switched the engine off, which was just allowed a little bit of a better cool cycle for when I did switch engine off. Turbo's lasted, it's still intact and in one piece, so I guess something might have worked. I can't do it exactly the same because obviously the turbo now is quite high in relation to the expansion tank, but I'm going to go for a similar sort of process if I can, but we'll see how that one plays out. So yeah, that's the goal. From this pipe to the turbo, and the turbo, well, obviously this engine's out, but it'll go into the expansion tank. That's what I'm going to try and achieve. Okay, so that was my original water pipe that I bent up. That I've bent additionally to see if I can make it work to fit with this turbo. Obviously it would run along, bolted alongside the fuel rail, looked pretty tidy. Went down to the turbo, which is obviously sat down at the bottom. Now this is going to return to the reservoir. So this pipe isn't going to work. Well, one, because obviously now I've got a boost pipe in the way, but secondly because the return I want coming up out of the turbo, keeping that height, and then go back into a reservoir, which obviously would be located here somewhere, when it's obviously bolted back in the car. Whereas this pipe drops down several inches, so it's not creating the sort of heat transfer for keeping the water moving when the engine's switched off. So what I'm probably going to do is come out of here, maybe run it across the top, along, and then bend it back to the water pipe connections here. That's probably what I'm going to do, but it's obviously with the water connection there, I can obviously move the oil pipe out the way slightly, but it's still quite a tight fit to come straight up out. So what I'm going to try is I have got some Banjo bolts. Well, that's one of the new ones. I'm going to probably test it on our old one first. It's one of the original ones that was on the turbo. What I'm going to do is cut it off at the shoulder. I'm going to drill out the inside to open out the opening in there. I've then got that's not the tube I'm going to use actually, but I've got some more of the tube that I used originally. Here we go. Some of this tube, I think it's about 8mm in diameter, and yeah, and then I'm going to put this into the hole I've opened out, weld it up, and I should be able to bend this at a reasonable angle to come straight up out of the turbo. So yeah, I'm going to get cutting it up, drill it out, see if I can weld it together and see what kind of bends I can make. Okay, slight change of plans. So with the water pipe, what I'm going to do is the one that comes up and out, I've got it coming up and wrapping round over the top of the turbo. Now this is just cut off the old pipe that I had. So I've cut the Banjo out. It's not welded in yet. I'm not going to weld that in until I'm 100% in all the locations. So yeah, as it comes out, it's the old pipe, and that is just I had a washer and I welded it to the end of the pipe and then ground it down to create a bit of a barb. So yeah, that's what I did on that one. But that allows me to make a connection. Now, two reasons. One is I can disconnect it should I need to take any of the top off, and I haven't got a pipe that runs all the way across. That's going to be in the way of everything, to keep that yeah, out the way. And then second reason is I don't know how long, if that pipe runs down all the way down and along to the, if it's going to cause any problems with fatigue and rattling about and things like that. So I've decided just to make the half, like at the little bit extension, and I can connect onto there. And the other reason is if I came out the back, I'd have to come down or around in some way. Got obviously all of this, or the wastegate outlet and all that all here as well. So I'd have to get around that, then find a way past all the boost pipes to get to the feed port. Now, it's all well and good, but if I ever need to take the boost pipe off, then it's going to be wrapped around the back of it, and it could be in the way, and with the brackets on there, it could just be awkward. So I'm going to see if I can come out behind the boost pipe now, along sort of this section, and then up into the front port. So yeah, that's the new plan. This pipe can be a little bit longer, and probably we'll just leave maybe just a 90 or something, a 90 elbow and silicone connector there. It's not going to be too much of a problem, I don't think. Having that length is only going to be 8 inches or so, I imagine. So yeah, that's what the new idea is going to be. Happy with how that one sort of is going to turn out. And the other thing is, I can make the rest of this pipe when it's back in the car. I've got to modify the coil pack holder anyway, so but I want to get the engine at least back in the car, so it's mechanically all back together from that side of it, so I can get the car off the jacks. I can roll out of the garage, things like that. But yeah, I want to get, so yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm going to see if I can go about cutting down another Banjo and making the pipe to the feed. Okay, 2 pipes all mocked up. This one, the amount of bends and little tweaks and kinks and stuff to get it in there and lined up is quite annoying. But what I'm going to need to do, I think, is get the ends welded on, and then I can do the final tweaking when they're bolted in place. I did make a bit of a mistake on this one. I went to got it all lined up, was perfect, but I forgot to actually clock the turbo into its final position. That was a bit annoying. Luckily it was only a few degrees out, so I was able to do that. But yeah, I'll get them welded on now, get them fitted back onto the car and just double check to make sure they all still line up. Okay, got them welded up. So yeah, just get them bolted onto the turbo and make sure that they still fit properly. Okay, with them bolted on, obviously not for the final time, so there's no washers in there, but we've got this top pipe that will come out alongside the turbo. Still got access to the oil if I need to take that on and off. Plenty of room for like a blanket on there, clearance down the front if for whatever reason. Now obviously get this end onto the expansion tank. When it goes on, there will be a slight drop, but it's not going to be the sort of 20 centimeters or so. From there it'll probably only be about 2 or 3 to the bottom of the other side of the engine, so that's okay. And we've got the feed to the turbo coming down the bottom. You see it comes out and it bends around there, and then it comes out along, wraps around the turbo and bends into this feed pipe. Now, although I might get away with that, I'm probably going to take sort of a centimetre or so off the end of this pipe, just to allow a bit better fitment really, although it'll probably work as it is. I'll have to redo all this end, but I think I'll just allow it a bit better. Now that sits in tight right there, so it comes out, bends round, sits back, so with the boost pipe on, see there's a bit of room round there, around the back, so that wouldn't have to come off when I come to take the boost pipe off. So yeah, really happy with that. As the water pipe's done, I say just a little bit of a tweak on the end, but that shouldn't be too bad. And yeah, the turbo will have water. Okay, slightly different technique I'm going to use to making a little retaining sort of barb on the end. I've just literally welded on all the way around, just a lump of weld, and I'm just going to grind that down. Before I'm going to put a washer on, welded the washer onto the pipe and then grind the washer down with the weld, and it gave like a sharp back edge. It was a little bit too sharp, I think, and it was sort of digging at the internals of the pipe, which I suppose ain't going to matter if you're going to put it on once, but if you ever need to take it on and off, it might be a problem. So yeah, this time I'm just going to weld it on all the way around, and I will now grind it down to create a bit of a lump, just so the silicone hose doesn't just fall off the other end, basically. And there we go, that wraps that little job up, so that now has got plenty of room for a nice right angle piece of silicone. Got a piece there, that will just cut that down and it can fit on there, so that'll all be done. Quite a bit more grinding involved on that technique, just a bit of weld on there, just grind it down, but it's going to hold the pipe on, so happy days. So yeah, that is officially that little job done. Of course the whole lot's got to come back off to all be wrapped, that's why I'm not fixing it on for the final time. But yeah, so water pipes all done. See me next time for the next one.